So good morning. Happy to be at Campus Party. I'm going to talk about EcoAlf, which probably some of you don't know, but it's a Spanish sustainable fashion brand. But before that, I would like to talk briefly about the problem about the waste in the world. I think we are sometimes not aware of what's going on, but the waste problem is much higher than we can imagine. And this is a problem which is getting bigger and bigger. This is not something which is disappearing. No? At the end of the day, we are going to be 2 more billion people by 2050. We're going to be, we're 150,000 more people in the world every day. So this problem is getting worse than best. There's over 500,000 million plastic bags which are used every year. The problem with those bags is normally they have a span life of less than 30 minutes from the store to your house. More than 650,000 tons of discarded fishing nets in the bottom of the oceans. People are not aware, but this is a huge problem because unfortunately, a lot of these nets are made of nylon 6, which is a top quality material. So that means that those nets can be there for centuries, creating a lot of marine problems. The more you will see that EcoAlf is very much focused on the ocean, and the more we investigate, we do actions, we feel that the ocean is much more dirty than we can imagine. Unfortunately, 75% of the trash is in the bottom of the ocean. We feel the ocean is clean, but it's not. When a bottle has to have a cup, it goes down, full of water goes down, an aluminum can goes down. So most of the trash is unfortunately on the seabed. This, I always put this because this was in, I remember on a trip to India to visit some natural dye factories, and I was going from Bangalore to this natural dye factories, and it was a 4-hour trip. And unfortunately, I was surrounded by crystal bottles, plastic bottles, aluminum cans, all kind of dirt. And what we don't realize is that probably my grandson will see this if he takes the same trip in a few centuries in the future. This is not going to disappear, and this is getting worse and worse. And this, I always put it because I remember we received this phone call from a lawyer of the plastic industry a few years ago, and said, Javier, you speak bad about plastic. I said, no, I don't speak bad about plastic. In fact, I think plastic is an incredible material to do many things. If you're going to do a window which has to last for 300 years, then it's fantastic to use PVC. Or for many medical appliances, I mean, it has tons of usage, which are incredible. The problem is that we're taking the natural cover of the fruit and putting it in plastic containers. That's what I think it's a misusage of the plastic, which we don't need. And unfortunately, it's millions of containers every day, which unfortunately finish, many of them, in the ocean. So a lot of people claim this is much tougher than this, more than 200,000 million plastic bags, which are not collected. Probably a lot of you have heard about the wires in the ocean. First, it was 1 in the Pacific, then it was 3, then it was 5, then it was 7. I had the chance to see one in the Gulf of Thailand 2 years ago, which was not very big. It was 5 miles by 7. The fishermen said that they comes and disappears. Suddenly they see them for 2 weeks and they disappear for months. So they move with the currents. This was a quite strange thing because the plastic was, it was not only plastic, it was waste. It felt like a carpet. It felt like you could walk on top, But normally, unfortunately, most of the plastic is converted into microplastic. And unfortunately, what's happening? That the fish are eating that plastic. And the last study we had access already 3 years ago, 1/3 of all the fish in the ocean had already plastic inside. So this is probably now even worse. Ellen MacArthur Foundation says that by 2050, there will probably be more plastic than fish in the ocean. I believe there's already much more plastic than fish in the ocean. It depends what you call plastic. If you call plastic a plastic bottle, probably not. But if you call it little tiny pieces, then I'm sure there's much more than fish in the ocean. And there's no fortune, no technology, no money enough in the world to take all that microplastic outside of the ocean. So this is a huge problem. How is that waste? Because this is not only plastic. How is that waste getting into the ocean? Well, unfortunately, a lot through the rivers. Only in Southeast Asia, there's 10 rivers from Philippines, India, China, Thailand, which are very long. They go all along the country and they pass through many villages. Unfortunately, we have given all these villages a lot of containers, but we haven't given them the lorry to collect those containers. So for them, the lorry is the river. And these rivers are pouring tons of waste into the ocean every minute. But you don't only have to go to Southeast Asia. You can go here to the Mediterranean. No? Here you have it at Sidon, no? 48 kilometers from Beirut, a place that have been bombing for the last decades. And they've been putting all this waste near the ocean. Every time the wind blows, this goes directly into the Mediterranean. Or you have it in front of the coast of Messina in Italy, no? Probably one of the biggest wastelands and in the world. No, for decades, the people who were supposed to be in charge of the waste, instead of getting properly in charge, they've been thrown into the ocean. So you can find refrigerators, you can find bikes, you can find boats, you can find anything you want. No? And this is also the Mediterranean. Or unfortunately, this is Hawaii, which is in some areas of Hawaii, unfortunately, happening twice every month. Before they said it was happening once or twice every year. Or you have it in the Atlantic, where somebody decided it was a great place to throw used tires. This is 7 kilometers long. So, I mean, we could continue with tons of examples. As I said, this is not getting better. This is probably getting worse. But for you guys to have an idea, we're going to be 30 minutes here talking. There will be 30 new trucks of 16 tons, which will have dumped their waste in the ocean. So to talk about EcoAlf, well, EcoAlf was born in 2009. The name is under my sons, Alfred and Albert. That's why EcoAlf. I wanted to create a truly sustainable fashion company, and so recycling could be a solution if we're able to make like this new generation of recycled products with the same quality and design as the best known recycled. The problem is that when I went to the market in 2010, there were no cool recycled fabrics, and fabrics were only recycled in a very small percentage. So I had to start developing those fabrics. I started with an amazing woman south of Taichung, which was recycling plastic bottles to create carpets, and she had a lot of sensibility. Finally, we launched the company in 2013, and since then we have developed more than 450 different recycled fabrics. A lot of you probably know, no? Fashion is probably one of the most polluted industries in the world. It depends how you measure it in terms of uses of water or carbon emissions. It can be the second, the third, etc. Why is that so? Because unfortunately, it's based on a business model which is not working. At the end of the day, it's been controlled by the fast fashion for many decades now, which is all about buying, throwing, a new trend every Thursday, discount promotion, Black Friday. This is creating huge amount of billions of garments going to landfill every year. So we always say at EcoAlf, no, fashion cannot just be about looking good. It also has to do about doing what is right and feeling good about it. And it's possible. Okay. So I think what you do is not enough anymore. I think how you do it is more and more important. I mean, anybody can make a building, no? But how is that building in terms of energy efficiency? Or anybody can make a T-shirt, no? Well, but what is the footprint of that T-shirt in the world? So I think we have to start asking those questions. And we always say this, no? I think the situation is starting to get very, very worrying. Look, the other day, no, I was reading, no, the biggest cotton company in the world burning 4,000 acres of forest in Ethiopia to plant cotton. So we're burning the forest to plant cotton to make T-shirts of €5, which are going to finish in landfill in less than 2 years. We're crazy. First of all, because there's not going to be enough forest. You would keep on like this. There's not going to be enough landfills, and there's definitely not going to be enough water because each of those T-shirts takes 7,000 liters of water. Okay. So this is, as I said, this was the vision of the company: stop using natural resources in a careless way and create this new generation of recycled products where if I don't tell you to recycle, you would never know. We recycle a lot of different types of waste: plastic bottles, discarded fishing nets, used tires, post-consumer coffee, post-industrial cotton, wool, cashmere, etc. Basically, we have developed since then, as I said, hundreds of fabrics. Many of those hundreds are from plastic bottles. We probably around 200 come from those plastic bottles. We have right now, I think this figure is a bit old, but probably over 400 millions of plastic bottles recycled so far to create those fabrics. Okay? More or less, we need like 50 plastic bottles for every yard of fabric we produce. So that's why this garment uses around 70 plastic bottles. Okay, discarded fishing net. We only use the fishing nets, which are nylon 6, which is probably the best quality nylon you can get. For you to get an idea, from an old fishing net to this fabric is 7 chemical steps. From petrol, virgin petrol, to this same fabric, it would be 17 chemical steps. So that's why there's so much saved in water, energy, and emissions. So you get the petrol, you make the polymer, you make the yarn, but we do the other way around. We get the fishing net, we do the polymer, we do the yarn. Right now, it's not only about fishing nets, because we're also mixing it with scraps of nylon from old carpets and many other different materials. We are using it a lot in our new yoga and sports collection. Used styles. This was the first project we did in Spain. We wanted to do the outsoles of our sneakers with using the used tires. I don't know if you've ever seen a used tire, but it's full of the interior, no? But it's full of metals, oxidants, textiles. So it's quite complicated material. So we made a joint venture with the company who collects all these used tires in Spain, and we started working with the Center for the Shoemaking in the north of Spain. And we did this project, which looks like a simple project, but it's received a lot of innovation prizes. It took us nearly 22 months to convert those used tires into micropowder, and everything is together without glue, without conglomerates. It's all made by heat. We at EcoAlf try to never move the waste around. So at the end of the day, if we recycle the used tires in Spain, then we make the flip-flop in Spain. Okay, you will see if we recycle like this the coffee in Taiwan, then we try to make all these yarns and fabric in Taiwan. Okay, this was also started working in 2014 with a partner in Taiwan who was collecting the used coffee grounds from the cafeterias every morning, the humid compound. That humid compound is dried out, converted into powder, and mixed with plastic polymers. And what's the good thing about coffee? That it has a lot of natural properties. No? So at the end of the day, it's fast drying, it's auto control, it's UV protection. Okay, so these fabrics you're seeing now are all made with this coffee content. And cotton. Well, I think people are not aware, but cotton has a big problem, which is it's very intensive in water. So you need a lot of cotton. You need a lot of water to create a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a polo. We started recycling cotton back in 2013. It's not easy to work with because at the end of the day, you get the leftovers of the cotton, you cut them out, and you get a very short, uneven, unstable yarn. So it's easier for sweatshirts and pants and more heavy qualities. But if you want to make something very thin, very transparent, the yarn breaks. Okay. When we started with this, I remember we launched this amazing yarn, which was 50% recycled cotton, 50% recycled polyester. We were saving millions of liters of water, but then we realized it wasn't the proper thing to do because, I mean, as EcoAlf, we are now for many, many years very concerned with circularity of our product. And the circularity, if you're mixing two different yarns, like cotton and polyester, makes it very complicated. So right now, I mean, for the last 4 years, we work, more than 80% of our fabrics go with mono yarn. We don't mix any yarn. So right now, we mix the recycled cotton with organic cotton. So at the end of the day, it's very easy to recycle them again. And this is cotton, and this is wool. Wool and cashmere, well, I think especially wool has been recycled since many, many centuries. There's even a city in Italy called Prato, which is famous for recycling the wool. When we started, this recycling wool was more stiff, and right now the qualities are amazing. You would never see the difference. Okay. This is upcycling the oceans. Upcycling the oceans is probably our most ambitious project. And it started by accident. One day, talking with a fisherman, he said, Javier, you should come out and fish with me and see how much waste gets caught in the nets every time we pull up those nets. So, but along with the fish, there's a lot of waste. So I went out fishing with him and I realized, it was very shocking, see how that fish was coming out. So we decided to start a project we convinced 3 fishermen from a little port back in 2015 from Alicante, the east coast of Spain, to let us put a little container like the one you see in the drawing in the boats, and all that waste that gets collected when they pull up the nets, instead of throwing it back to the ocean, they would put it in that container and take it to the port. We would have big containers. We would collect every week that waste. We would take it to categorization plants where we would separate all the different types of waste: aluminum, glass, polypropylene, shoe, etc. And then we would take those plastic bottles and convert it into flake, pellet, yarn, fabric, and product, everything made in Spain. Okay? What started with 3 fishermen, now it's over 3,500 fishermen, 2021. And we've managed to take, over these years, more than 1,000 tons out of the ocean. Then we started, so basically we work in Spain with 85% of the trawling fleet in Spain. Okay, we're in right now at nearly 50 ports. It's an amazing job. We work with 6 categorization plants where we're taking all that waste, and 68% of that waste which we take out is put back into the system. Then we started working with the government of Thailand, who called us to help them replicate upcycling the oceans in Thailand. So we've been going there to help them replicate it in Koh Tao, Samui, Phuket, and Rayong. And now we are with a very ambitious project in the EcoAlf Foundation, which is try to replicate upcycling the oceans in all the Mediterranean and try to create, if not the biggest, probably one of the biggest cleanup projects in the Mediterranean. We've already signed with, I think, 18 ports in Greece. We've signed the first one in Italy. We're about to sign 6 more in Italy in the next month, and probably 5 in France. But the idea is to do all the Mediterranean. Okay. I'm going to put, please, if you could help me, a little video, which is the testimonies of the fishermen which are involved in this project. So I think it's this testimony. If you can help me put this video in.
Aparatos del barco, hemos encontrado antenas, cañas de pescar, bicicletas, televisiones, botas, zapatos.
Ha una valigia piena di indumenti.
Un contenedor de basura. Neveras, hidroaviones.
Lavadoras, grifos de cerveza.
Ci sono qualsiasi cosa strana c'è anche a mare, purtroppo.
Los objetivos de Upcycling the Ocean son 3. El primero, aportar nuestro granito de arena en la limpieza del océano.
Que no cuesta nada coger y ponerlo en una bolsa, llegar en un puerto y depositarlo en un container. Es un simple gesto.
El segundo, concienciar y sensibilizar y demostrar que una solución es posible. Hay que empezar a atacar el problema desde el origen.
El mar lo estamos contaminando todos, que la contaminación empieza desde casa.
Sin la ayuda de la ciudadanía, por mucho que los pescadores luchemos, pienso que no va a servir de nada.
Y el tercero, fomentar la economía circular y transmitir que la basura tiene un valor.
Si solamente nos limitamos en traer la porquería a puerto, estamos cojos.
Lo que el pescador nos costaba de entender, al menos a mi modo de ver, era recoger algo y que se quedara en el muelle.
Necesitamos el siguiente eslabón, que es que alguien coja lo que nosotros traemos y estemos seguros de que eso no va a volver de ninguna forma otra vez a la mar. ¿Cómo? Reciclaje.
A mí me gustaría agradecer a los pescadores, porque este proyecto lo hacen con el corazón. Lo hacen porque creen que es lo correcto, lo hacen por su amor a los océanos. Creo que son un gran ejemplo para todos nosotros.
Η κατάσταση στη Μεσόγειο φυσικά και με ανησυχεί, γιατί είναι ένα επάγγελμα που έχουμε μεγαλώσει και έχουμε μεγαλώσει και τα παιδιά μας και δεν θέλουμε να σταματήσει ποτέ.
Y se va mentalizando la gente y yo pienso que llegará un momento en que esto se consiga algo.
Que el día de mañana puedes decir, mira, yo he contribuido a limpiar este mar.
Entonces tenemos que ir trabajando ya.
Es un paso fácil a hacer.
Si la gente pone un poco de su parte, el mar no tendría por qué sufrir lo que está sufriendo.
Okay, and now we're going to put another video, very short video, which explains how we collect that waste from the ocean and how we transform it into yarn and fabric. with the waste we collected from the ocean. We call it ocean waste because all the upper part is made with the polyester from the plastic bottles we collected from the ocean, and all the outsole was made from algae. So that's why this sneaker has been considered the sneaker with less carbon emissions of the market. Since I think it's 2018, when you buy a garment from EcoAlf, you can have this traceability, where you can have, we're audited by an external company for every garment, so you can see in terms of sustainability, water usage, materials, etc., how sustainable that is. I think it was a way to be as transparent as possible and also improve every day. Finally, the company was launched in 2013, as I said. Since then, we've made a few collaborations with many companies around the world, developing for them a lot of recycled fabrics and creating collections which have been awarded, like this one, Best Vegan Collection for 2 seasons. Right now, we're in many different projects, which are not only in fashion, but also like in furniture. At the end of the day, what do we want in these projects? We want them to be, they have to be innovative, they have to be, of course, take sustainability to the next level, and they have to have design. So when you see this this collection of sofas, it's amazing because, of course, the fabrics are made by recycled materials. But the amazing thing is that we're collecting the old mattresses you throw away. In Spain, there's over 1 million mattresses thrown into landfill every year. We're collecting with a partner those mattresses and creating all the internal part is made with this foam. So it's a completely circular project. And at the end of the life cycle of the sofas, you can easily separate it into 2 materials, so they're easy to recycle them again. Okay. Basically, we are a multi-channel company. We sell through wholesale more than 5,000 stores in Europe. We have a few own brand stores in Madrid, in Berlin, in Tokyo. Now we just opened in Paris. We're opening another in Barcelona. This is our claim because there's no Planet B, which is a claim we registered in 2014 in over, 35 countries. And we have all our friends and clients and people always sending us T-shirts, sweatshirts, bags all over the world with the claim, creating this because there's no Planet B movement. We were the first fashion company in Spain in 2018 to be B Corp certified. So I don't know if some of you guys know what it's B Corp, but for me, it's the most complete audit you can get. Basically, it measures everything. It's very complete. And I love the claim. No, it's not necessarily the biggest companies in the world, but probably the best for the world. And we're also the first GRS company in Spain, Global Recycle Standard. So we have a total traceability from the waste to the final product. So all the chain is completely transparent and trustable. Okay. So just to finish out, I'm going to put this video which shows what has been this year's, well, it was made for the 10th anniversary, nearly 2 years ago, and explains a little bit what we've done over this 10 years and our commitments for the next years. So this would Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, and absolutely happy to answer any questions you may have. So here I am if you feel there's any questions you want to ask. This is a question. Fashion should stop changing the way we're supposed to dress. Is it possible to slow down the way fashion change? Well, I think fashion. I'm not sure if they're supposed to change the way we're supposed to dress. I think what we have to change is the way we buy. I think what we have is a big problem. The way we buy. No, when I go to universities and I see a lot of young people, and they want. No, I mean they believe that there's a problem. They want to be as sustainable as possible. They want to keep on buying 10 t-shirts 5 years every year. Well, that's not possible anymore. You have to decide, okay? And they always say, what should we do? I say, buy less. You don't need 10 t-shirts 5 years, okay? I think we have to start working more in buying quality instead of quantity, buying less, and buying products where you feel the footprint you're leaving is, you know what footprint it is, and I think, and you're comfortable with that footprint, no? I think that's where we need to focus. Well, waste, basically, as you can imagine, there's huge amount of waste. The thing is, we're not able to make waste with, we're not able to make yarn with every type of waste. So basically, we're focused on the type of waste that we can make yarn and products of, no? That's what we focus on. Of course, plastic bottles is so nets, but there's a lot right now. For example, there's a lot of textile waste. And with the textile waste, we have a problem because, first of all, there's still not a clear way of collecting that waste. And for small companies like EcoAlf, we cannot create the technology to convert all that textile waste again into yarn. So right now we are in many projects right now with other companies and stakeholders, but we find many problems. So the first problem, I said it before, is that unfortunately a lot of materials are not monomaterials, so they're mixing yarns. So that makes it very difficult to recycle. And then, unfortunately, one of the other big problems is that the low quality of fast fashion makes it that even when you're able to recycle those yarns again, of those old products, the resultant yarn is so bad in terms of quality, which you're not able to use again to make clothing. So you have to make scraps, or you have to make, but it's a downcycling more than upcycling. So that it's a huge problem right now. That would be, this question is fantastic. No, can you do anything to block plastic waste directly where rivers meet the sea? This would be the biggest solution. We've started a project now in Spain in collaboration with Biotherm, a cosmetic company, where we said, okay, let's try to work on one river. So we selected one river, it's 150 kilometers long, and we're cleaning nearly every week, 1 day a week. And basically it's a 3-year program. We want to be cleaning by steps, and trying to do it as a showcase to say, okay, if the river is clean, the ocean will be clean. What you say, we have tried to block and talk with, in Spain, I'm talking about Spain, with local authorities, let us put this kind of barriers, which they could go 30 meters below the water, so the fish could go below, but we could stop all that waste coming. And we haven't been able. Unfortunately, at least the authorities in Spain, they don't let us put barriers in the rivers because they say there's a lot of traffic of boats, etc. So they're not allowed. But that would be an amazing solution, stopping all that waste before it's getting to the ocean, of course. There will be ever a future where we stop completely producing plastic. Well, as I said before, I have nothing against plastic. I think plastic is fantastic for many usages. For medical reasons, it's incredible. For construction, for a lot of things. No? What we have to stop using is plastic for stupid things, and for products which have a span life of 3 seconds. No? That's where we have to stop, hopefully producing that plastic and consuming that plastic for that purpose, no? Really nice dresses and accessories. Does color impact on sustainability of fashion products? Well, more than colors, what it impacts a lot is the dyeing materials you use. So, and this is important. It's important that also customers understand. No, I remember a few years ago, coming back from that trip in India, we launched this natural dye collection made of polos and T-shirts and sweatshirts, and a lot of clients returned them back because what they said, Javier, but you've sent me 50 polos and they all have a different blue, and of course, it's because natural dye. That's the idea, no? And the clients, which when I'm talking clients, because we sell to stores, really didn't understand that fact. So I think there's a lot of education to be done behind. So we need to start saying, okay, if we want to use natural dye fixtures, then the clients, natural dye colors, then the clients need to understand that the color will be exactly the same in all the materials. But I think dyeing materials is a huge pollution problem. Okay, they're telling me, unfortunately, that this is the last question. So I would stay here answering a lot of questions, but unfortunately, they tell me that there's the next speaker coming up. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and it's been a pleasure to be with all of you.